The research vessel Thalassa held its position, a steel cathedral anchored to coordinates that took 18 months to verify.
Her crew moved with measured precision. The ocean permitted no shortcuts, honored no second chances.
They were individuals weathered by years in close quarters with danger and technical precision.
The morning presented conditions as favorable as the North Atlantic ever offered. Their window was 6 hours.
Argonaut kissed the Atlantic, and the ocean reached up to claim her.
Inside the titanium sphere, their movements were the unconscious grace of long practice. Life announced itself in cold fire, a symphony of light in the perpetual night.
The hull transmitted sounds, creaks and groans of enormous forces in equilibrium. They listened like safecrackers.
Then the Fortuna di Mare rose from the darkness like a surfacing leviathan.
The manifest specified Container 17. Their plan was external recovery, not interior penetration.
After 40 minutes, the latches yielded. The past waited inside, preserved by cold and pressure.
They worked with meticulous care. Rush nothing, verify everything. Murphy's Law applied with force here.
With the final case secured, the acoustic signal pulses.
Argonaut surfaced first, breaking back into the gray afternoon light.
Their attention remained on the water, where the real prize was yet to emerge.
When it settled, a collective breath released throughout the vessel. The first stage was complete.
The smell was complex. Leather and ocean, decay and preservation, all mixed into something unique.
As the sediment cleared, the leather revealed itself, altered but unmistakably craftsmanship of extraordinary quality.
Case after case revealed similar results. Preservation exceeded every prediction, every hope. They looked at objects that had survived impossible conditions, craftsmanship that had outlasted prediction.
They had descended into the abyss and returned with proof. The barrier between possible and impossible was permeable.
The ocean kept its secrets still, but yielded to those who approached with proper respect.
Tomorrow would bring documentation, insurance, authentication, the machinery of the surface world.
He studied the accretion, the ocean's own signature left upon the salvage.
She thought of the Fortuna's crew, whose voyage ended here, in a storm the world failed to predict.
In September 1977, she departed Livorno, Her manifest listed luxury goods for New York.
She encountered a storm system that meteorology had failed to predict. Radio contact ceased abruptly.
With first light, the work of preservation and documentation began in earnest.
They created a digital record, a twin of the physical object now pulled from the deep.
The first outsiders arrived by helicopter. Insurance assessors, representatives from the salvage company.
The condition is unprecedented.
The cargo was prepared for its final journey, this one by air to a secure facility on land. One by one, the pieces of the Fortuna's lost cargo left the Thalassa, bound for valuation and a new life.
A chapter closed. The ocean had yielded its treasure. Their part was done.
But the story of the Fortuna di Mare was not just one of salvage. It was a story of time.
Grain by grain, sediment accumulated. A voyage measured in millennia, not nautical miles.
They had negotiated with the deep. They understood the difference between taking and receiving.
Overhead, the universe turned in configurations sailors had used for navigation since time began.
He thought of the anomaly on the sonar, the shadow that matched the freighter's dimensions too perfectly.
It was a shadow that refused to be dismissed as mere geology. It was a memory, insisting on being found.
The weather system from Greenland was finally arriving, but Thalassa was already steaming east, away from the dive site.
The Atlantic heaved in its eternal rhythm, indifferent to the small dramas of human retrieval.
The vessel fell into the routine of transit. The intense focus of the operation gave way to the calm of the voyage.
She would always remember that moment of discovery. The shape rising from the endless dark.
Life returned to the world of light and air, a playful escort for the returning vessel.
After days of empty horizon, the first sign of land was a shock to the system.
They celebrated not with shouts, but with quiet gratitude. For the mission, for each other, for the return.
The steel cathedral returned to the world of docks and diesel and humal noise.
Goodbyes on a salvage vessel were always temporary. They would crew together again, on another horizon.
She carried with her the memory of pressure, of silence, and of leather emerging from the deep.
The pieces found their way to a neutral, sterile room. Their monetary value was now to be determined.
Each item bore a new provenance, more dramatic than any designer's original story.
Buyers saw more than an accessory. They saw a survivor, a story they could own.
For her, the value was never in the price. It was in the doing, in the retrieval.
The ocean called still, not with a shout, but with the deep, resonant hum of the abyss.
The sea demands much, but she always gives back. We found our way home at last.
The ship emptied, but never truly rested. Another mission always waited. Another set of coordinates.
Argonaut was stripped of her dive data, serviced, made ready to hold human breath once more.
The connection was tangible. Paper to ocean floor, and back again.
The world had moved on, creating new luxury. What they had retrieved was now an artifact.
The financial settlement was a complex equation of risk, investment, and recovered value.
She returned to the sky, another element where precision meant survival.
Here, the emptiness was bright and full of air, a contrast to the crushing, hydrous void.
Some mementos had no monetary value, just weight and texture and memory.
The story broke in the financial and adventure press. It was reduced to numbers and sensation.
The nuance was lost. The patience, the cold, the silence, untranslatable.
He shared the real discovery, empirical data on deep-sea material preservation.
Regarding the data triangulation, did you account for the atmospheric interference?
This was the legacy that interested him. Knowledge for the next expedition.
Thalassa underwent her own renewal. Her hull, scarred by the same ocean, was made whole.
She was a tool, maintained with the same reverence as the submersible she carried.
Not all pieces were sold. Some were destined for museums, for the public to ponder.
The memories came unbidden, not of the wreck, but of the life they passed on the way down.
The coordinates faded from active use. The Atlantic reclaimed its solitude 300 miles west of the Azores.
The journey was complete. A circuit closed after 50 years of darkness.
The chart in the captain's cabin gained another mark. A story for quiet moments at sea. Each mark a secret known to the crew, a whisper between the ship and the deep.
Knowledge was passed on. The procedures, the rhythms, the respect for the tools, the procedures, the rhythms, the respect.
A new generation learned the language of delicate work in imagined extremes.
She found rhythm in the dirt, in growth, in the predictable turn of seasons above ground.
The experience demanded to be codified, made useful. He turned memory into methodology.
And so the objects re-entered the stream of life, carrying a history their new owners could barely fathom.
The ocean's mood was eternal. It had taken the Fortuna, and it could take again.
So they trained for its fury. Respect was born from understanding its power.
New coordinates were issued. A new target in a different darkness.
The call always came. The horizon always needed crossing.
They regrouped on the dock in the pale light. Few words were needed. The steel cathedral cast off, turning its bow toward the open sea once more. Another secret waited. Another negotiation with the deep was about to begin.
And the ocean kept its secret still, dreaming in the dark.
The routine of transit settled in. A familiar hum of engines. A familiar emptiness on all horizons.
She ran the checks not because she had to, but because the ritual grounded her. It was a conversation with the machine.
Their new target, a lost aircraft carrier in the South Pacific. A different kind of ghost.
Planning was constant. Meals were just another venue for problem solving. He trusted the equipment with their lives. This hands-on care was a form of respect, a promise. They crossed latitudes, leaving familiar stars behind. The sky itself told them they were far from home.
In this expanse, another vessel was an event, a brief reminder of the shared surface world.
Life here was in the bursts. Sudden, silver, and gone.
Everyone had their talismans, their small rituals for the descent, personal order against the chaos of the deep.
The weather was never static. It required vigilance, a quick dance of preparation.
The ship took the blow, shuddered, and held. A brief, violent baptism before passing into calm again. The data was preliminary. The wreck's true condition was a mystery the Abyss guarded closely.
Could be a collapse. Every dive was a puzzle. The first piece was always the acknowledgement of the unknown.
The final briefing was a sacrament, a communal reaffirmation of procedure, of trust, of the plan.
In the artificial daylight of the deck, the transition between worlds felt stark, deliberate.
For a moment, it hung between worlds, the world of air and the waiting dark.
And once more, the ocean reached up. The descent began. The familiar ritual of the dive. The numbers, the sounds, the gathering pressure.
Even for them, the wonder never faded. It was a privilege paid for in focus and risk.
The ocean's furnaces. To touch one would be to melt their manipulators to slag.
They approached the coordinates. The sonar shadow was somewhere on this slope.
The search was methodical, a test of patience. The wreck would reveal itself only when it chose to. A forgotten piece of wartime infrastructure, a ghost from a different kind of conflict.
The ocean had offered a different secret. The mission had just changed.
It was a tomb for machines. Perhaps the carrier, or parts of it, were inside.
We need to see inside.
The decision point, to enter or not. The risk calculus shifted in an instant.
They hovered at the threshold. The interior was a different kind of dark, a structured void.
We have the power. We have the time. We go in slow.
They entered the belly of the beast. A cathedral of failure, preserved in cold and pressure. And there it was. Not the carrier, but its aircraft.
Time stopped here. A pilot, forever on final approach to a seafloor landing. The atmosphere in the sphere shifted from exploration to reverence. Some things were not to be retrieved.
Thalassa, Argonaut, we have a situation. We've found the aircraft. It's a burial site.
The mission objective evaporated. They became archivists, not salvers. Their job was to witness, to remember, and to leave undisturbed. In that still water, time felt absolute. Not lost, but permanently suspended.
The documentation was precise, clinical. It was the only respectful intervention they could make.
Each detail told a story of violent descent, then the slow, gentle embrace of the deep. Their work was done. To stay longer would be intrusion. The dead had earned their peace.
They left the structured darkness for the open, indifferent dark of the abyssal plain.
Thalaha, commencing ascent. Mission parameters altered. Returning with imagery only.
The words were simple. A whole...
The ascent felt different. Lighter, yet heavier with the weight of memory.
They retraced their path through the layers of the ocean, carrying a secret now instead of a prize.
The return of light felt like a softening. A return to a world where history was recorded in books, not in bent propellers.
They surfaced into a different night than the one they left. The world had turned in their absence.
The recovery was somber. There were no crates to unload, only data to digest.
They stepped back onto the deck, carrying an invisible cargo. It bowed their shoulders.
No words were needed. Some findings required silence before they could be spoken.
When the images appeared, the bridge crew fell utterly silent. The air grew thick.
We document. We report the coordinates to the relevant government, then we seal the records.
It was the only ethical path to reply to those who had to live it.
The ocean had shared a secret they hadn't sought, a reminder of its primary role, not as a vault, but as a tomb. Some dreams sank, and were meant to stay sunk. Their salvage was of memory, not of metal.
Their purpose now was custodial, to hold the location in trust and in secrecy.
The mood aboard had shifted. The mission's spirit had changed from conquest to guardianship.
They waded in the expanse. The ocean, for once, felt like a sanctuary, keeping a vigil.
The message went out into the ether, a whisper to the world that a long silence had been broken. The image was burned into her mind's eye, a companion now on all future dives.
The tools were clean, but felt different. Their purpose had been redefined in an instant.
Understood. We will comply.
Instructions arrived. Clear, direct, and final.
We have been ordered to maintain absolute secrecy. The location is classified. Our dive logs will be sealed.
The mission was officially...
They turned for home, carrying nothing but the weight of a story they could never tell.
And the ocean kept its secrets still. Some now shared, but forever guarded by depth and by honor.